Hello, I'm Soko, and I built this coffee shop for my Cozy Mountain Resort series. Before we build it, let's take a quick tour and grab a coffee from our new drive-thru. What do you think of this menu board? I think it turned out pretty cool. I also included this dumpster area that came out pretty neat and adds a realistic feel to this build. The cobblestone drive-thru wraps around to a drive-thru window. I also found a cool idea to make it functional, so if that works out, I will share the tutorial with you guys. In the meantime, let's have a look inside. Wow, isn't it so nice in here? I think it's so warm and cozy, and check out our front counter where we will serve coffee, tea, and hugs. I also found some cool features for the bathroom, like this realistic mirror and a toilet with a working lid. How cool is that? Now let's check out the back of house. Follow me right through this cafe door. What can I get for you today? This is so fun. Behind the front counter, you'll find a few mini fridges, and around the corner, there's the drive-through counter and window. I placed a wall behind the counter to hide a full-size fridge and any employees who may need a moment to shake it off. I might swap one of the bathrooms for a walk-in or an office though. What do you guys think? Out front we have a nice patio with a couple of chairs that I might change to patio style chairs, but what I really love is this glass ceiling with glowstone lights that make it so cozy. I'm really excited to share this build with you, so let's get started. This time around, I started by placing the floor first and carved out 24 by 19 blocks. I chose a coffee color scheme for this build and selected mud brick slabs for the floor. I think this was the perfect choice for this coffee shop. And while I'm working on this floor, I'll share a few fun facts about coffee. Did you know coffee beans are not actually beans at all? They're actually a seed of the coffee fruit that is considered a type of berry, though some people call it a coffee cherry. Isn't that interesting? I think it makes perfect sense because most fruit is a really great source of energy anyway. Did you know Brazil grows the most coffee in the world, producing about one-third of the total coffee consumed? And in the US, coffee is only produced in Hawaii, and more recently, California is producing coffee as well. Another interesting thing to know is that the many bitter compounds in coffee are only detected through taste and not smell. This must be why coffee smells so much better than it tastes, at least in my opinion. And the weirdest coffee fact I have for you, you may have heard because I can't imagine this information not spreading like wildfire, but there is a special type of coffee called Kopi Luwak. I hope I said that right. But it's eaten and pooped out by a palm civet, a type of cat-like mammal. This poopy berry apparently makes the coffee smoother and less bitter, and it is very expensive. It once sold for around $600 per pound in the US, and right now it is nearly $200 for 16 ounces. I think I'll pass on trying this one, but would you try it? Now that our floor is finished, we are going to start placing some markers for windows. Originally, I was going to have windows in the back of house, but I later decided not to. So that is why I'm placing markers there, but we will be using these a bit differently in the final build. I also had to place another row in the front to make it the correct number of blocks, but the floor is still 24 by 19. Next, I'm placing markers for the layout. I'm placing slabs close to where I want the doors to go and a couple more where I want the back of house to start. So I counted out 4 blocks from the back and ran a row of slabs across before deciding on the cabinets. I made the bathroom walls 5 by 4, and after outlining both bathrooms, I placed 7 dark oak blocks for the front counter and 2 on both sides to create the side cabinets. You don't need the extra block between the counter and bathroom walls. I just use them to visualize, but you will see me replace these blocks later. I built the bathroom walls up 5 blocks high and then began placing chisel quartz and quartz bricks for the exterior walls. While I decided not to place windows along the back wall, I used the markers I placed earlier to add chiseled quartz for a more decorative look on the outside. And this is when I realized I had only brought the bathroom walls up 4 blocks high and I wanted them to be 5 blocks high, so I added another row before adding quartz bricks to the exterior. Now I only placed these 1 block high because I'm going to be adding the windows and I want them to be a little bit lower to the ground. So I went ahead and filled in the rest of the quartz bricks, and I decided instead of putting the windows in the back, I was going to have this completely blocked off with just a single window for the drive-through. So I continued to fill in the wall with quartz brick before adding it to the sides of the bathroom as well, because I want the exterior to all be the same color. And then I went ahead and added where exactly I want the front windows to go. So I decided on having corner windows and 2 windows on each sides of the doors. So I did decide on having 3 doors. One would be the front entrance, and then there will be an entrance on both sides in the center of the walls with windows on either side. And then I just went ahead and filled in the other bathroom wall with the quartz brick. And then I thought, while I'm here, I might as well put in the bathroom doors. I went with the dark oak bathroom door, and then I also filled in the back wall with quartz brick as well because I thought this looked a little bit neater. And then I just repeated the same thing on the other side for the other bathroom because everything has to match. And I went ahead and added another row along the back of the bathrooms to clean it up and make it a little more symmetrical. And then where the windows were going to be, I filled those in with chiseled quartz to make it look kind of nice. For the front menu board, I tried a couple of different materials and I ended up going with this mud brick. I wasn't the biggest fan of it and I do end up changing it later, but for now I just got the shape and style of how I wanted it down. And then I went ahead and replaced those wood blocks with gates to make a sort of cafe door. So I used the dark oak gates and I thought those turned out pretty realistic. And then for the drive-through window, I just added 2 glass panes. And then I went ahead to fill in the doors and windows in the lobby. Now I tried a couple of different things. The glass panes I added, I felt like it gave it more of a bank vibe, and I wasn't a fan of this. So I tried a couple of different materials here and they just were not working out. But then I found these redstone lamps and this brown stained glass that looked really cool. I thought the redstone lamps went perfect with the dark oak doors and they just look so elegant but so cozy, which is perfect for this little coffee shop. So I repeated that with all 3 doors and then I tried the glass panes again, but I really didn't like the way it looked. So I gave up for a second and went ahead and started filling in the rest of the roof frame with the chiseled quartz. I really like doing this along the top. I think it added a really decorative touch against the quartz bricks. So I did that all the way around the exterior. And then I began filling in the stained glass windows. So I filled in the corners, the sides, and above all three doors. I did replace those glass panes, and I think that turned out so much better. And then once I got these windows in, it really started pulling this whole build together, and I was just so obsessed with the ambiance these glass panes created. I think it gave this space like a nice warm depth, and once I got the front door installed, I went ahead and created a back door for our trash area. And now the dumpster was just like an idea I threw in here, but I thought, it's a little nostalgic. I've worked in fast food. I wish I worked in a coffee shop. I feel like I'd have cooler stories. But maybe this is me vicariously living through Minecraft by creating a coffee shop that I can work in in the game. So that's really cool. But I just threw up some mossy stone walls and added a little gate, and I think that looked pretty realistic for a dumpster enclosure. Um, that may be a little silly, but I was really excited about that. Afterwards, I brought the ceiling up another block, so the exterior walls are a total of 6 blocks high. And then I did that so I can add this like decorative touch with the granite wall. I think it kind of matches the library build a little bit, but the color scheme is still very much its own. And I was looking for something a little more decorative for the ceiling tiles, and I found this dripstone that I thought looked pretty good. So I think it kind of tied in all of the colors we use so far. And then I just filled in the back of house completely. But I wanted to do something kind of fun with the lobby. So what I did is create a circle with the dripstone blocks, and I did this from the center. It is 13 blocks long by 13 blocks wide, and it's exactly 10 blocks from the back wall. So one block from the front and then 10 blocks from the back. And then from there, I just added the brown stained glass to fill that all the way around. And then I added glow stones to the center to make this cool little lamp centerpiece, chandelier, whatever you want to call it. Well, whatever it is, I think it turned out awesome. But then I moved on to the front counter menu board. And for that, I just added dark oak slabs to hang the signs from. And while I struggled for a second, I got them up and I think they look so cool. And then I just wrote some cute things that we'd serve. And then I took a look at it and I was like, no, there's not enough contrast here. So I ended up swapping the mud brick for the end stone walls. And I loved the way this looked. I thought it looked like coffee creamer. So that turned out pretty cool. And then I went ahead and added this wall to separate the back of house a little bit. Then I decided it was time to put some seating in here. So I went with dark oak slabs for the tabletops, and I was going to use these granite stairs for the chair, and I thought it looked okay, so I filled all of those in, but I do end up changing them later because I think it looks a little bit washed out with the mud brick. I like that it ties into our wall, but because it's so close to the floor, I just think there wasn't enough contrast. So I do change it, but in the meantime, I just place them down. So the longer tables I have in the front here are 3 wide, and then I put 2 on the other side of each door that are 2 chairs wide. And then that was it for seating. I didn't think we needed any more tables or chairs in here. And then I knew it needed some more light, so I decided to make these little hanging lanterns with the glowstone to match our centerpiece light. I really love the look of the lights in here. I think it's so warm and cozy and just I can't get enough of it. But now that most of the interior was complete, I decided to work on the exterior. And the first thing I did was bring the cobbled deep slate path up to the front door. And then from here, I decided to carve out the drive-through. And I don't know how big of an impact paths have for horses, but I know that they can only fit through double wide gates. So I just went ahead and made the drive-through double wide. And at first I was going to bring it all the way to the wall, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave a row of bushes along the wall just so there's a little bit of space there. I think that's more realistic. So I did bring the drive-through out 1 block and then replace those grass blocks, and then I added another row of grass blocks on the back side, and then I brought that all the way down to our library build and filled in the empty space there. And then I brought the drive-through out 1 more block on the side so I could go ahead and replace those grass blocks as well. And then I noticed it was snowing and my entire patio was getting covered in white. So I went ahead and started creating the awning for the coffee shop, and I I don't know how I feel about this, you guys. I don't, I still don't like the way it looks really, but it's necessary. But if you have any ideas of what would look better for this coffee shop, please let me know. I thought about maybe swapping it with dark oak, or if there's another white stone option that might work out. I'm not sure. I don't really care for the look of the granite on the top. I did try to add it to the patio, thinking that maybe adding it there would kind of balance out the look of it on the awning, but this was honestly so hideous. I didn't like it at all. But you can just see me kind of playing with it here and trying to make it work, and it just doesn't. So then I tried to do a quartz slab, and this ended up looking nice, but definitely a lot more fancier than I wanted. So it didn't really give me a cozy vibe, so that could not stay. Just wasn't working. I think the quartz actually gave it more of a doctor's office vibe than a coffee shop, so I had to get rid of that. And I ended up going back to mud brick. Though I did consider a couple of different options, but I just I didn't know what these actually looked like before testing them out, and they were not it. So, definitely stuck with the mud brick. It won me over, and I think it already looks so good on the inside. Why not extend it to the outside? But I had to give the dark oak a chance to see if I would like it. So I did test that out here. I filled everything in and then stepped back to see how it looked. And you guys, I was genuinely torn here because it kind of reminded me of like an old pirate town, but that's not what we're going for in this cozy mountain resort build. So I ended up swapping it for the mud bricks. But I am making a mental note of the dark oak slabs for a patio because I love the way it looks and I think it'll come in handy for a future build series. And with the front patio nearly finished, I decided to go ahead and start working on the bushes. And I wanted these to kind of build up a privacy area, but I realized it is not that realistic to have green foliage in a frozen tundra. So I swapped them out for dead bushes. And while this might not be the most aesthetic choice, I think it is more realistic. And I thought it was kind of cute. I did try to add in some color, but again, I just don't think that colorful foliage works for this build. And then I didn't know at the time that the dirt blocks would change to grass blocks. So you see me swapping them out, and this is absolutely useless. But again, I didn't know that yet, so I learned something. And then I tried a few things to make the soffit and awnings a little prettier, but nothing I tried really satisfied me. And I really don't know what it is about this roof that is just not coming out the way I want. So I definitely need some opinions on this one and how to make that roof just a little better. So if you have anything to share that you might add to it or change, let me know. That would be so helpful. But otherwise, I loved everything else about this build, just not so much the front of the roof. So at this point, I kind of just let it go and I finished bringing the cobblestone path to the door and I added a little step up on each side. And then I went back to take a look and see if there was anything else I wanted to add when I noticed these grass blocks under my dead bushes and I was like, hey, wait a second. I thought I changed those to dirt. But I didn't know at the time, so that was just silly. And then I went and tried to add the same glowstones to the sides of the door, but I didn't like the way that looked. So I added lanterns instead. I thought that was a little more realistic anyway for outdoor lights. And then I added this carpet to the front counter to sort of look like a granite countertop. And then I didn't know you couldn't stack two slabs if they were different materials. So I just keep learning every day. And then I added the drive-through counter, which was pretty simple. I did add another lantern back here with the glowstone, and then I decided I wanted to try to make some refrigerators so this would look a little more like a legitimate coffee shop. So I tested out these banners because I had seen something with banners before with a refrigerator. I just couldn't really remember how it was made. But then I figured it out. I just threw these oak blocks up and added the banner, and that looked pretty good for a refrigerator. And then I was like, okay, so let me just go ahead and add banners to the cabinets, and then we have just a bunch of mini fridges. I also tried to add a bookcase here to see if I could make some shelves, but because there are no oak colored bookshelves, that would have looked a little funky. But now we have the entire coffee shop finished, and we just have to put up our sign and then add our drive-through. So I just made the sign like I did with the library, and then I realized I wanted to keep the same color for all of the signs. So once I installed the sign, I had to go back and change it to the mahogany fence post. So I did that, and then I got started on the seating for the patio. And now I tried to put some stairs down for the chairs and realized that since I was using slabs, my chairs weren't going to stack. So I raised up the patio, but I didn't really like the way that it looks, so I dropped the front of it back down and just left where I was going to have the seats raised. But then I noticed that snow was collecting all over the front of the patio, so I extended the awning a little bit, and that led me to raise the entire patio back up, and then I think it ended up looking okay. So then I just added some slabs to the front of the entrance before I placed the tables and chairs. And then I had another look at the build to see if there was anything I wanted to change, and I did bring the awning out, and I ended up colliding with my light pole. So I do end up taking the light pole out on this build later on, but for now I just left it the way it was. And then I brought the mud brick all the way to the walkway because I just thought that looked a little better. Then I built this really cool drive-through menu speaker box. And for this, it's really simple. You just need 8 fence posts. You're going to place one, skip a block, place another, and then you're going to stack 3 more on each side. So you have fence posts that are 4 blocks high. And then in the center, you're going to add one black terracotta or any color you want really, and then 2 respawn anchors, and then stack one more terracotta on top, and then you'll place 4 banners, so one at the top of each post and then one at the second fence post up, so you have the same height for the banners, and that's it. It's a pretty simple build, and I'm pretty proud because I did not use a tutorial for this. I just figured out what would look like a speaker. So I'm pretty proud of myself on this one, and I hope you guys like it too. And now it's only right that we test out our drive-through, so I'm just getting my horse and we're gonna take a ride to the coffee shop to order ourselves a hot coffee. Because after that build, we definitely need one. And doesn't it look like I'm kind of wearing sunglasses here? That's kind of silly, but you know what's not silly is getting a nice hot beverage at the end of a long day. So, which would you order? A coffee, a tea, or a hot chocolate? I can't decide, so I think I'm gonna go with all 3. Well, guys, I think that pretty much wraps up our coffee shop build in our Cozy Mountain Resort series. I loved working on this build and I love sharing it with you even more. If you made it this far, leave a like and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video. And comment below and let me know what you want to see next in this cozy mountain resort. You guys take care and keep building.